small upside down holding a pen.
Is this on? Is that on?
Should be now.
Now it is?
Yep.
Okay. Hello, everyone. Welcome to our Challenge Bee mock trial today. We're so glad to have you all here with us. As you know, we have the 3 rounds today. The first round this morning is Goochland and it's the Sycamore, thank you. Foggy head. So Goochland and Sycamore is this round. We have 3 jurors with us, Krista Guswiller, if you want to raise your hand, and Heidi Deutsch and Ty Saw. So we're really thankful to have them here. We have the judge who I will come in and introduce later. And so a few announcements for me to make. One most important is to please turn off your cell phones, silence them. And just to let you know, the mission of this is there are Challenge Bee mock trials going on all over the world this time of year. It's kind of a cool thought for you all to think about. You've been putting all this energy and effort into this year, but it's kind of neat to think about. There's kids in every state in the next couple of weeks dressed up just like you, doing the same thing that you're doing and learning these skills. And so I'm really thankful that you all get the opportunity to be a part of this. Classical Conversations' mission is to know God and make Him known, and that pertains to what we're doing here today as well. Students are practicing their growing mastery of classical skills by learning the details, asking questions of the material, connecting the details into a strategy, preparing a persuasive argument, employing clear reasoning, and presenting without a script. So, wouldn't it be great if we knew how to do that when we were in 4th grade, or 8th grade, excuse me. They get an inside view of the judicial system and a sobering sense of how poor choices lead to consequences that restrict freedom. So students earn points for their teams. So obviously they're being judged. They're going to get a score. These points are earned for how well they handle their arguments and how convincingly they play the witnesses. The verdict is inconsequential for the purposes of mock trial. So technically there will be a score and there will be a winner. But everyone who has showed up today has already learned so much, and it has already gained the skills, and today is just the practice, right? Today is just the time you're going to do it in your suit and dress for everyone here. The protocol for you all as spectators, if you have a program, there is a paragraph in there that explains to you, I think I saw it already. I have it right here as well. From the time of well, we're not having a coin toss, but from the time that this begins to the retiring of the judge and jury after the final round, family members, directors, and guests are not permitted to come forward past the barrier where the students are seated. Members of the audience, including directors and guests, are not permitted to communicate with the students in any way. There is to be no signaling, whispering, coughing, snapping of fingers, etc., for the purpose of communicating with or prompting of students. Likewise, there is to be no communication whatsoever between members of the jury and students, directors, or guests. Okay. All right. So, I want to go ahead now and congratulate both of the teams for all of your hard work that you've done up until this point, and for what you're about to present. And we are all very proud of you. Your parents are very proud of you, and we're here to support you. And I think for right now, so we will go ahead and bring in the jury. Oyez, oyez. We are now ready for the court. Honorable Robert Michael, please judge this. And the bailiff for. Oh, you're already good. So sorry. Okay. So can you take a seat next to me, please?
All rise. The Superior Court of Goochland County is now in session. The Honorable Judge Robert Michael presiding. God save the state and honorable court.
Thank you. Please come to order. Have a take a seat.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Thank you all for being here.
Thank you all for being here.
I'm Robert Michael.
I'm Robert Michael. I'm an attorney with the BWW Law Group in Richmond, Virginia, presiding over today's hearings, trials. I graduated law school from the University of Virginia in 2005, and I'm honored to be here to preside before this trial today. Thank you all for your hard work and preparation, and I'm sure that it will pay off. And you all look very dapper, and I'm very pleased to be here. So thank you. So we're going to start with confirming that the plaintiff is prepared to proceed today. Ready to go?
Defense counsel.
Okay, defense counsel, everything ready? Prepared to proceed today? Yes.
All right.
All right. Does anyone have any pretrial motions? Thank you. Then we're going to start with opening arguments for the plaintiff's counsel. Please proceed.
Your Honor, my name is Jack Erickson, and if it should please the court, I shall be making the opening remarks for this case. Please allow me to introduce my co-counsel, Stephen Breedlove, Olivia Walker, and Nathan Geddes. This case centers on a man whose greed cannot be satiated, a man whose greed stretches far beyond the realm of reason. This case is about Tatum Zilius. On August 31st, 2012, Tatum Zilius not only murdered 2 people, but killed the future of many others. On this day, Project Z was lifting roofing panels for the construction project, but because of Tatum Zilius' never-ending greed and unorthodox carelessness for the well-being of others, he scheduled the lift on the day of a hurricane. Under high winds and unrelenting rain, the crane collapsed. Zilius' disregard for human life and willful neglect of the safety codes led to the murders of Grace Hopper and Artie Bennett. The defendant, Tatum Zilius, scheduled the lift on a day a hurricane was blowing through so he could meet a deadline worth $10 million. Additionally, the roofing panels weighed far over the maximum lifting capacity of the crane. Unsurprisingly, the crane tumbled, killing Artie Bennett and Grace Hopper. The witnesses, London Packard and Emerson Turpin, watched in horror as the crane tumbled. Weeks before, they had witnessed Tatum Zilius spewing his famous lines, "I don't care if people can get hurt. We can pay for that. We can pay for anything but time. This project is going to get done." And fast means good, fast means profit. We will prove that Tatum Zilius is guilty of committing multiple safety violations which caused people to get hurt due to unsecured scaffolding, unlocked equipment, and heavy machinery that was far beyond the point of repair. We will also prove that Tatum Zilius is guilty beyond a reasonable doubt of third-degree murder. Our first witness will be Emerson Turpin. Emerson Turpin is a well-respected site manager. An expert in his field, he acquired a degree at Penn State in construction management. He had a dream of becoming a property developer. However, his dreams were shattered when the defendant, Tatum Zilius, destroyed them by involving him in one of the most dangerous and poorly managed sites recorded in the state of Pennsylvania. Our second witness will be London Packard. London Packard was a peace-loving woman. She found home anywhere that the ground was soft and the company sweet. She will testify that Tatum Zilius caused multiple people to get hurt and committed third-degree murder. We are asking the court to find Tatum Zilius guilty of third-degree murder. On August 31st, 2012, Tatum Zilius shattered the future of many of his employees, taking the life of one employee as well as the life of a veteran. That's it.
Thank you, counsel.
I thought
I thought we proceed with the counsel for doubt defense. Ms. Pruitt, you prepared?
Yes, Your Honor. My name is Julie Sherman, and I shall be making the opening remarks for this case. Allow me to introduce my co-counsel, Teddy Lucho, Asher Armstrong, and ASB. I would also like to introduce the defendant, Tatum Zilius. This case is about a fatal incident on the unfortunate death of a government employee, Grace Harper, and a trespassing civilian, Audie Dent. On the bleak day of August 31st, a construction site in which Tatum Zilius was building a apartment complex in one of his homeless childhood refuges, was lifting roofing panels onto the building skeleton when a malfeasance occurred, caused by a squatter, causing the claim to fall on 2 human lives. The defendant, Tatum Zilius, is on trial for false accusation of third-degree murder. The prosecution will try to prove Zilius is an immoral and thus malice man, but one does not equal the other. Zilius' only wish was to build an apartment complex for others who also grew up with less fortune, so they could have a safe place to live. The plaintiff will try to say he forced the project manager, Anderson Tonkin, but Zilius knew Tonkin was taking time for granted, and he did a phone push for movement. A terrible thing happened on August 31st, but this accident is far from a disinterested life to the point of third-degree murder. We will prove that the defendant has been falsely accused of third-degree murder by bringing awareness to the fact that the operator of the crane assured Zilius himself that the lift was safe, and gave no advice against it, including how Zilius resided a block away from the lift and did not even give the possibility of being able to ignore the fact. As well as most importantly, he did not have a disregard for the sadly lost lives. Our first witness will be Tatum Zilius. We occurred the events of the site and telling why it was important to lift on that day, as well as why safety checks were cut. The second witness we will present is Micah Stratton. Stratton will tell the court about how he assured everyone the crane was capable of lifting, and even got an okay to lift from this hospital. He will attest to being sure he had the range under control and explain possible causes. Our final witness is Reese Detno. Detno was reported from Britain who caught an interest in the construction of the building. He tracked the events of the site and will relate about certain squatters' extraordinarily malicious actions. We plead with the court to acquit Tatum Zilius of third-degree murder on account of the safety official at the site allowed the lift to proceed. And maybe Zilius is not an extraordinarily overrighteous man, but that does not make him a murderer. On August 31st, Zilius' only wish was to save the project from failure and squatter trespassed indefinitely on private property. To send him to jail would be to fail the judicial system.
Thank you, counsel.
Thank you, counsel.
Prosecution ready to
Prosecution ready to call its first witness?
Your Honor, I would like to call Mr. Turnkin to stand.
Ms. Turnkin, please take a stand. Mr. Turnkin. Mr. Turnkin, please raise your right hand. Do you swear and affirm that the information you will give for this court will be true and correct to the best of your information?
Yes.
Thank you.
Please state your name for the court.
Emerson Turnkin,
And what was your involvement with this crime?
the site supervisor at Franklin's Trench,
What was Franklin's Trench?
a hole stretching 50 feet deep and 2 blocks wide.
Your Honor, and members of the jury, I would like to place into evidence exhibits number 2 and 3 to give you a more clear picture of this murder that we are dealing with.
These have been pre-marked.
These have been pre-marked as exhibits. Have they been presented to counsel for the defense?
All right, counsel.
All right, counsel for defense, are there any objections to introduction of these All right, these shall be admitted.
you tell me what this is a drawing of?
The construction site for Franklin's Trench.
And this is a picture of what?
Artistic rendering of Franklin's Trench.
When did the defendant, Teddy Zilius, contact you?
2011.
What did you think of Zilius' safety record?
We joked that he was going for the Guinness World Record of most citations without being shut down.
The council is asking for an opinion.
Counsel, what do you say?
Counsel, what do you say?
I am but simply asking him to state the facts that he said in his witness statement, Your Honor.
Rephrase the question.
Rephrase the question, please.
How would you describe Teddy Zilius' safety record?
We joked that he was going for the Guinness World Record of most citations without being shut down.
And how did you change this?
Massive briefings and long safety sweeps.
Which two cranes did you rent from the crane renting company ELS?
Fighting Phil and Little Betsy.
Did anybody already live in this trench?
Yes, many squatters lived there.
Did they enjoy the invasion of their home?
No, they tried to stop us any way they could.
What did they do to the site?
They vandalized it, they moved tools, and they dug holes.
Did you attempt to stop them?
Yes, we tried to by putting up a fence.
And what happened next?
Hidden Zilius added more shifts, accidents increased, and anyone who didn't want the extra shift got fired.
Your Honor, I would like to put into evidence exhibit number 4, and exhibit number 5. The memorandum of understanding.
Okay, please present that to bailiff to present to defense counsel.
Counselor, is any objection?
Counselor, is any objection to introduction of exhibit number 5?
No, Your Honor.
All right.
Recommend.
This document has actually been marked exhibit number 4 and shall be admitted.
Would you please read the highlighted part for me?
For its work in
For its work in developing Franklin's Trench property, Project Z will be paid as follows. Upon completion of all structural work, including all roofing, on or before December 31st, 2011, $30 million. On or before October 31st, 2012, $25 million. On or after November 1st, 2012, $15 million.
As is currently September of 2012, how much money would Tatum stand to lose if you do not finish before November?
$10 million.
How much was Fighting Phil, the cranes, weight limit?
2,750 tons.
And how much were the panels expected to weigh?
2,900 tons.
Was it legal to lift above the crane's limit?
Yes, but you had to contact the city for permission.
And how did you receive this permission?
Actually, we didn't hear a response from them.
Did you know that a hurricane was coming?
Yes.
Did Tatum know about it?
Yes, it showed on the weather reports.
Were you comfortable continuing with this lift?
No, I wanted to postpone.
What did Zilius think of your recommendation for postponement?
He wanted to know why we weren't lifting now.
How was the weather on the first lift?
Horrible. The wind was as stiff as a board and the rain was coming down hard.
And how did the first lift go?
Bad. Micah Stratton, our crane operator, almost crashed it into an apartment building.
And you continued with the lift?
Yes.
Your Honor, I would like to place into evidence exhibit number 7, the weather report.
Please present that to the bailiff.
Please present that to the bailiff to show the defense counsel. All right, the exhibit has been pre-marked as exhibit number 7. Defense, is there any objection to introduction of exhibit 7?
No, Your Honor.
All right, it shall be admitted as exhibit number 7.
Could you please describe to me what I'm holding?
That's the weather report for August 31st, the day of the lift, at 12:05 p.m.
Could you tell me what it says for 12:05?
Expect wet weather high wind warning.
Did you continue with the second lift?
Yes.
How did the second lift go?
The rain was coming down.
The rain was coming down harder and the wind was getting worse.
And then what happened?
Oh,
Tatum
funded Grace.
confronted Grace, the OCIS manager, about lifting and
Green flag.
took the green flag and raised it in Michael's direction.
And then?
The rest is history. Gust of wind caught the roofing panels and hit the crane, and next thing you know, the crane was in ruins.
And who is responsible?
Tatum Zilius' utter disregard for human life caused this incident.
No further questions, Your Honor.
Thank you.
Defense like to
Would
cross-examine.
the defense like to cross-examine Ms. Witness?
Yes, Your Honor.
Please proceed.
Why did you say that you stopped caring about the work on the site?
Because Zilius was rushing too much.
Do you regret not saying anything about how Zilius was doing stuff?
No.
Did you complain to the government about how Tatum Zilius was doing his job?
No.
You said that you were mostly in your office mindlessly signing paperwork, is that correct?
Yes.
Would it have been likely that the letter from the state had come through there?
Possibly.
Why didn't you report the squatters taking place to anyone besides Tatum Zilius?
Because it didn't seem too severe.
Why didn't you just quit the job?
Because I still wanted to help.
No further questions, Your Honor.
Thank you, counsel.
Thank you, counsel.
Prosecution, do you have any?
Prosecution, do you have any redirect?
No, Your Honor.
Thank you. The witness will be excused.
Counsel for prosecution.
Counsel for prosecution, please call your second witness.
Your Honor, I'd like to bring London Packard to the stand.
Mr. Packard. Mr. Bailiff's son, swear the witness in, please.
I do.
Please state your name for the court.
My name is London Packard.
What was the place you once called home?
The place I lived with a group of people for several years is Franklin's Trench.
Who was Tatum Zilius?
Tatum Zilius is a housing developer who orchestrated Project C, which was a project to turn Franklin's Trench from a home for me, as well as countless other people, into a housing development so that could earn money.
Who was Reese Stentner?
Reese Stentner was a reporter who found interest in our situation concerning Project C. She tried to stop the construction by publishing our side of the story.
What did Reese Stentner say she would do for you?
She promised to stop the construction if I gave her time and information.
Who was Artie Dent?
Artie Dent was an individual who lives with me in Franklin's Trench. He was one of the only people to stay after Project C began. He was a little odd, but harmless.
What actions did Artie Dent do to slow down site progress?
He vandalized the site in harmless ways, like moving tools or doing graffiti. We thought it was a harmless but efficient way to slow down the construction.
How did Tatum Zilius react when Artie Dent made those actions?
He put up a fence to keep us out, as well as cutting safety sweeps. He was so dedicated to getting the project done that he wouldn't allow any slowdown.
How did Emerson Turnkean manage the job site?
Emerson managed it well at first, but after Tatum Zilius cut the safety sweeps, he wasn't able to do everything that was necessary to ensure safety.
What were you doing on August 24th? Did you find anything unusual?
Yes, I did. I found a strange letter in the trash.
Your Honor, I'd like to enter into evidence exhibit number 11, licensing and inspection letter.
All right, please present that to bailiff, present to the defense counsel. Counsel seen this exhibit? Are there any objections to the introduction of the exhibit?
No, Your Honor.
Okay. Then, it shall be admitted. Proceed.
Is this the letter you found in the trash?
Yes, it is.
What does it say?
It's a letter from the city inspector saying that the lift isn't approved.
So, was the lift approved?
No, it's not.
Objection, Your Honor. The counsel is asking the question that has been asked and answered.
I will sustain the objection. I think the witness has already read from the document.
What happened on August 31st?
I woke up and I was instantly conscious of the fact that there was no way they could lift in the conditions. The rain was so heavy, it was like bullets, and it was accompanied by horrendous winds. I went to...
Objection, Your Honor. The witness is answering what he needs to answer.
Counsel, does the witness have any basis for introducing her as an expert on whether or not it was safe to proceed?
No.
Okay, I'll sustain that objection. I ask the witness to please limit the scope of what you saw and what you perceived on that day.
Okay, I woke up and was instantly conscious that it wouldn't be safe weather. The weather wasn't very good. I went to celebrate with Artie, but I couldn't find him anywhere. Next thing I know, Kate and Zoe says caused the murder of Artie Dent and the city agent.
Objection, Your Honor. The witness is still answering for the opinion.
Counsel, I believe your witness is still providing opinions. I'd ask the witness to, your observations, not your opinion about it. So, the rain was very hard that day. I knew it would be safe. The first part is an observation. The second part is your opinion about the implications of that.
What was Fighting Phil?
What was Fighting Phil?
Fighting Phil was the crane used for the lifts. It's the biggest crane I'd ever seen.
From your observations.
From your observations, what happened to Fighting Phil during the lifts?
The combination of the weather and the weight of the panel was too much for it. It crumbled under its own.
Objection, Your Honor. The witness has a lack of knowledge of the witness.
Regarding her opinions as an expert?
It was an observation.
It was an observation that was stated in her witness statement.
She will not be able to tell if the witness is safe. She's not.
I believe that's correct.
I believe that's correct, unless she has a foundation to examine her as an expert witness. The safety of the crane is not within the scope, I think. And I would ask the jury to disregard her opinions regarding the safety of the crane.
Thank you.
What was already done?
What was already done during the lifts?
I'm not sure. All I know is that after the crane collapsed, Artie was dead along with the city agent.
No further questions.
No further questions, Your Honor.
Thank you.
The defense likes to cross.
The defense likes to cross-examine the witness.
Yes, Your Honor.
Please proceed.
Where did you find the letter from the city?
I found it in the trash can.
Where was that trash can located?
Outside of... I'm not sure, I'm sorry.
Okay. Why did you and Artie Dent stay at the trench after Project Lee had started construction there?
It's our home. We didn't want to leave.
So you admit that you and Artie Dent let your emotional attachment blind your safety.
Yes.
Do you also admit that you were trespassing on land on which you were living because you did not own the property?
Yes.
I would like to admit exhibit number 9 of evidence.
Please provide the exhibit to bailiff to show to the prosecution counsel. Prosecution counsel having objection to the introduction of exhibit number 9.
No. No, Your Honor.
Okay.
Then it shall be admitted.
Then it shall be admitted as exhibit number 9.
How did you know it was in Artie Dent's letter that was addressed to Reese Denton?
I don't. All I know is that he wrote a manifesto that was given to his commissioner.
Okay, and in Artie's manifesto, he stated, the answer is simple. The trench coat, martyred blood that will forever stain this stranded project. Knowing this, did Artie Dent let himself get killed?
I'm not sure if that's possible.
No further questions, Your Honor.
Thank you. Is there any redirect from the prosecution?
No, questions and rests.
Thank you. The witness may step down. Okay. Prosecution has rested its case. Are there any motions on behalf of the defense at this time? Okay. Well, then, the defense can, if it's prepared, please call your first witness. Bazilius, please take a stand. The bailiff will swear you in.
Please be seated, sir.
Please be seated, sir.
Where were you born?
I was born in
I was born in Franklin's Trench.
Where was your first home?
Where was your first home?
Franklin's Trench itself.
Franklin's Trench itself.
Tell me about your childhood.
Tell me about your childhood.
My childhood began with my mother
and to a father
and to a father that I had never met.
we lived from
We lived from soup kitchens and other charitable organizations.
Tell me about how you got
Tell me about how you got into flipping houses.
I went to
College, and then I dropped out of college to fix up a house I had brought nearby.
I then
I then
sold
sold it and kept investing my money until I was one of the biggest businesses in the district.
Did you ever go back to
Did
college?
you ever go back to college?
Yes, I went back to
Yes, I went back to college and earned a master's in business administration
When did you start working?
When did you start working on the Franklin's Trench project?
in 2010.
in 2010.
Who funded
Who funded
the project?
the project?
The Department of Housing,
The Department of Housing and Urban Development, the City of Philadelphia, the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, and my own pocket.
Buy the
Did
property.
you buy the property?
Yes.
When
When were you trying to get the project done by?
I was trying to finish the project by October in
Who
2012.
did you hire?
Who did you hire as the job site manager?
Emerson
Did you
Turnkin.
need a crane for the
Did you
job?
need a crane for the job?
yes.
Yes.
Who did you rent the crane from?
Extracting Lift Services.
What did you use to power this public housing complex?
I decided
to use solar panels.
When did you first
When did you first visit the site?
2000,
January 2012.
When did you start the second shift?
in 2012.
In 2012, early 2012.
Did you do anything to keep the squatters from trespassing?
Yes, I put up a
Yes, I put up a fence, but despite my best efforts, it did not keep them out.
When were the panels finished?
The panels were finished
June 2012.
June 2012.
did they weigh?
How much did they weigh?
2,900 tons
Were there
each.
any more?
Were there any more issues?
Yes.
Yes.
From it.
Rains and winds from a nearby hurricane were blowing in August.
Was the rain an issue?
Was the rain an issue?
Yes.
Yes.
It would be a problem.
It would be a problem if we tried to lift. Emerson Turnkin told me that the temporary roofing would not last one more day of rain, and 3 days of rain were expected.
Objection, Your Honor. The witness's answer is based on hearsay.
Counsel?
Counsel?
They're not really released.
It says that Mr. Turnkin told him that the roof wouldn't withstand more than one day of rain. However, what Mr. Turnkin told him, not hearsay, something made out of, a statement made out of court by a non-party for the purposes of its own truth.
Okay, I see.
Sustained answer.
Did you ask the city?
Did you ask the city for permission to lift?
Yes, we wrote to
Yes, we wrote to the city to get permission for the August 31st list, and we never heard back from them.
Was the money?
Was the money from the city and such enough to fund the whole project?
It was.
Were you able to get the first panel on smoothly?
Yes, we were able to.
Yes, we were able to get the first panel on.
How did the second lift
How
start?
did the second lift start?
Poorly. Grace Hopper from the Office of Construction and Safety Inspection came down and wanted to stop the lifts. However, since the rain was coming and the temporary roofing went out last, I spoke calmly but firmly, and she waved the green flag.
What happened right before the?
What happened right before the crane toppled?
Right before the crane.
Right before the crane toppled, we had to do a quick sweep, which the code permits as long as evidence of tampering is not found, because supposedly a squatter was on the job site.
Did you intend for anyone to get hurt or die?
No.
I have no further questions.
Thank you, counsel.
Cross-examination.
Cross-examination from the prosecution.
You did cut the safety.
You did cut the safety checks, didn't you?
this result in your
Didn't this result in your workers being injured?
Yes, but I was able to.
Yes, but I was able to pay them workers' compensation, and they were eager and motivated to get things done.
Did you know before the
Did you know before the lifts that the roofs were over the crane's lifting limit?
Yes, but Micah is.
Yes, but Micah Stratton assured me.
No.
Did you receive permission?
Did you receive permission from the city to proceed with the lift?
No, because we never heard.
No, because we never heard back from them.
Did you proceed with the lift?
Did you
anyway?
proceed with the lift anyway?
Yes.
I'd like to.
I'd like to admit
Into evidence exhibit 7, the weather reports.
Council, I believe the weather reports have already been admitted into evidence.
I'd like to refer to the weather reports, exhibit 7.
Could you please tell me what
Could
you're
you please
holding?
tell me what you're holding?
Weather updates from
August 31st.
Could you turn the page?
Could you turn the page and read the highlighted section?
Yes.
Expect wet weather.
Expect wet weather, high wind warning. Wind. SSW at 25 to 27 miles per hour. Gust at 30 to 35 miles per hour.
Did you receive this bad
Did you
weather
receive
report?
this bad weather report?
No.
I'd
I'd like to bring into evidence exhibit 13, Zilius's witness statement.
Please present the witness statement to the bailiff so he can present it to defense counsel. All right, the exhibit's been pre-marked exhibit number 13. Defense, is there any objection to the introduction of this? It shall be admitted as exhibit 13.
Could you please read the highlighted portion?
Grace demanded to talk with Micah about it again. She said something about a revised weather report, but the report was a couple of hours old and it did not seem like a big deal.
Thank you.
Did Micah
Nearly hit an apartment on the first lift?
Yes.
even though the first lift
was almost disastrous, you still proceeded with the second?
Yes, because Micah assured me that he had it under control.
Did Emerson
Turnkin and Grace Hopper worried about the lift?
Yes, but once again,
Micah assured us that things would be all right.
Did you care
that Emerson Turnkin, the site supervisor, and Grace Hopper, the OCIS agent, were worried about the lift?
Objection, Your Honor, that is an opinion question.
But the council, doesn't this opinion go to the motivation of your clients, whose mens rea or mindset is at issue in the crime that's being accused of? Objection.
Could you repeat the question, please?
Did you care
that Emerson Turnkin and Grace Hopper,
the
the OCIS agent, did you care that they were worried about the lift?
Yes.
I'd like to refer
to Exhibit 13, the witness statement of Kate Zilius.
The witness has this.
During the second lift, did a squatter run to the site?
Yes.
Did you think
Did you think that it was safe to proceed even though there was a squatter around?
We did a quick, as I have said before.
Did you think it was safe to proceed?
Yes.
I'd like to admit into
I'd like to admit into evidence.
No,
I'd like to refer to Exhibit 4, the Memorandum of Understanding. Could you please tell me what you're rolling?
This is a memoriam of understanding.
Could you read the highlighted?
Could you read the highlighted portion?
For its work in developing the Franklin's Trench property, Project C will be paid as follows. Upon completion of all structural work, including roofing, on or before October 31st, 2012, $25 million. On or after November 1st, 2012, $15 million.
So is it true?
So is it true that according to the contract you signed, we would have lost $10 million if you didn't finish this lift?
Yes.
So did you rush the
So
lift?
did you rush the lift to
Happen
have it happen on August 31st, the day of a hurricane, just so you could make more money?
Yes, I continued ahead with the lifts because I believed that it was safe.
During hurricane.
Okay,
Was Micah 100% sure that the crane could handle the lift?
Yes, it was.
I'd like to refer.
I'd like to refer to
13.
Exhibit 13.
Could you please read the
Could
highlighted?
you please read the highlighted portion?
Micah told me that the big crane had handled that load years before with only one issue, and it could possibly do it again.
Do you regret the death?
Do you regret the death of the squatter?
No, because
Yes or no?
how it was.
Yes or no? No?
No further questions.
Okay, no further questions, Your Honor.
Thank you, counsel. Does the defense have any redirect? Thank you. The witness may be excused. Does the defense have any further witnesses?
Yes, I'd like to call my extracting statement.
The witness will be sworn in by bailiff.
Where did you go to college?
Drexel University,
And what did you major in?
mechanical engineering,
And who do you currently now work for?
Stratton Services,
How long have you been working for them?
30 years,
And how long have you been operating claims for them?
28 years,
How long have you exclusively been working with the claim used on August 31st, 2012?
18 years.
I would now like to have Michael consider as an expert.
Okay. Prosecution, is there any objection to the introduction of this witness as an expert? All right. He shall be treated as an expert. You may examine him as such.
Has Springfield ever had any major accidents prior to August 31st?
It's had a few minor incidents, the worst of which being when the cables snapped, but we fixed it with reinforced metal cables.
When did Tatum Zillers contact the Stratton Services for claim?
March 2011,
And what claim was Zillers using in on?
Big Tony.
What differs Big Tony from Springfield?
Big Tony has a max lifting load of 2,300 tons, and the lift requires 2 panels to be lifted, and Big Tony will be able to do that.
So why did Zillers end up renting Springfield?
Because it could lift the panels and it was safer.
And what occurred on August 30th? The day before lifting?
We had a meeting discussing whether or not we should go ahead with the lift.
And what was said?
It was a go ahead.
Why did Zillers want to lift?
We put up temporary roofing, and the storm would have destroyed it.
you tell Zilius and the Office of Construction Inspection and Safety you were responsible about it?
That I could do it.
Did you have the final say in whether or not to lift?
Yes.
I would now like to enter exhibit number 5 into evidence.
Please present it to the bailiff to present to the prosecuting counsel. All right, does the prosecution have any objection to the introduction of exhibit number 5?
No, Your Honor.
Did you violate any of the
Shall be admitted.
rules?
No.
Please read the highlight.
Project Z shall not ask ELS to use any lift systems in an unsafe manner.
So, did you believe the lift was unsafe?
No.
And what are Fight and Trail's lifting limitations?
2,750 pounds.
And have you ever lifted over those limitations before?
We have.
And to what weights for the lifts you lifted before?
2,800 tons and 3,000 tons.
And why is it possible to lift over this limit?
Cranes have an 85% max lifting limit, so they can lift more than they.
And what do you have to do to lift over this limit?
We have to get approval from the state.
Did you request approval from the state?
We did.
And to your knowledge, did you ever do that?
No.
Were the required safety protocols carried out before lifting?
Yes, and it only requires one safety check per week when we get on that Monday.
Did you successfully lift the first of 2 panels?
Yes.
And did you have an okay from the base hot lift to lift the second panel?
Yep.
And who gave you that okay?
Correct.
In your opinion, did you have the crane under control?
Yes.
Was it a possibility that the wind could have caused it to fall?
It's possible, but not likely.
Was any tampering found to be done with the crane happening?
We found a wrench in the gears and a fire axe in the hydraulics.
Could that have possibly caused it?
Possible. It's possible.
And who was the one who was found to have done the tampering?
It was a squad.
No further questions, Your Honor.
Thank you. Prosecution in cross-examination.
Have you ever had any problems with over 2,750 pound weight lifts?
No.
I would like to refer to exhibit number exhibit number 14, the savings of Micah Stratton.
Your Honor, this, exhibit has not been
I think that's correct, counsel. I think this exhibit hasn't been introduced into evidence.
Sorry, Your Honor, I meant to say I would like to enter in evidence exhibit number 14.
Please present that once you complete it to the bailiff. Display to defense counsel. Defense, is there any objection to the introduction of this statement?
No, Your Honor.
Okay. Exhibit number 14 shall be admitted.
Could you please read the highlighted portion, please?
The only issue that we ever had was a broken hydraulic line on one of those super heavy lifts.
I would like to refer to exhibit number 7. Could you start me when I'm moving it?
The weather report.
Could you read the highlighted portion?
Wind, just 30 to 35 miles per hour.
I would like to refer to exhibit number 5, crane rental sheet, including exhibit A, attachment A.
We have exhibit number 5.
Yes, that's the
There was an exhibit number 5 admitted, but I don't recall that it was this.
Yeah. That's the, that is number 7. No, 5. Oh, wait, it is.
One moment, counsel. I don't indicate that the crane rental term sheet has been admitted into evidence yet.
I would like to insert into evidence exhibit number 5.
Please present that to the defense counsel. Defense, are my records incorrect?
I entered that in my question.
Okay, thank you. Then, it appears as though my notes are in error, and, this is already admitted, so thank you, counsel.
This sheet is color coded. Mr. Stratton, could you tell me what stark black color means?
Do not operate unless prior approval from ELS is obtained.
Could you tell me what Fighting Bill's do not operate level is for gusts?
Maximum 30 maximum threshold.
Could you read the gusts, the expected gusts for August 31st?
30 to 35 miles per hour.
In professional opinion, is 35 greater than 30?
Yes.
Could you please read the highlight portion?
Maximum wind tolerance for convex or concave objects may be low.
I'd like to refer to Exhibit 2. Are these panels concave?
Yes.
So, according to the guidelines in the sheet, was the lift unsafe?
Yes.
No further questions.
Okay, and this is your witness. Do you have any redirect? All right, the witness may be excused. All right, defense, do you have any further witnesses? All right. Jenner, please take a stand. Please sworn in by the bailiff.
To affirm that the evidence you have reached in this court is your shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
What do you have a college degree in?
I have a bachelor's in English and Communications and a master's in journalism.
Where did you go to college?
Syracuse University.
What did you do? When did you go to Philadelphia?
2003.
What was your initial impression of the Franklin's Trench job site?
There were people living there, and most people call them squatters, but I call them professors.
Tell me your relationship with Artie Dent.
He was obsessed and resistant of his home.
What did he do to resist?
He moved tools and caused a lot of mischief.
When did the job site put up fences?
January 2012.
Did that stop Artie Dent from causing mischief?
No, I gave him more credit so he could get back to listening.
Did you encourage him trespassing?
Yes.
When was the last time you saw Artie?
August 31st, 2012.
What was Artie doing the last time you saw him?
He was looking up at the cranes with his arms in there as if he were
How did you receive the manifesto from Artie?
Lyndon Packard gave it to me after the crane
I'd
collapsed.
like to refer to Exhibit 5, Audit 9. Could you please read the two highlighted areas one at a time?
I will take my final stand. The answer is simple. A trench coat, water blood that will forever stay in the strain project. A spot that can never be washed out, a mark on what will always be home to the trench printers of Franklin.
Do you admit that it's very possible that Artie could have premeditated his death?
Objection, Your Honor. Counsel is asking the witness to give an opinion for which she is not qualified.
Counsel?
There's three words. Yes, essentially.
Yeah, I think that's, objection sustained.
I have no further questions.
Does the prosecution have cross-examination of the expert?
Yes, Your Honor.
Ms. Gardner, isn't it true that you left New York and London under questionable circumstances?
Objection, Your Honor. This witness's reputation is not under examination.
Counsel? Counsel?
Was Dezilius have a bad safety record?
It appears as though the question has been withdrawn.
Yes. Were people being injured on the construction site? Yes, but not the slim line, please. Your Honor, I'd like to enter into evidence exhibit number 8, trench warfare article.
Please present it to bailiff to be presented to the defense counsel. Does the defense have any objection to the introduction of exhibit number 8? All right, shall be admitted.
Can you tell me what you're holding?
The trench warfare article. Can you please tell me what's depicted in the photo on the 3rd page? Injury. Where is the picture taken? Franklin's trench warfare site. Can you please read the highlighted portion? According to labor status, at all construction sites in the United States in 2012, there were 5.6 injuries per 100 full-time construction workers. At Franklin's Trench, that ratio is an astonishing 15.7 injuries per 100, nearly 3 times the national average. So the injury rate at Project Z was 3 times the national average? Yes. Was the vandalism done by Artie Dan Corliss? Yes. On the day of the lift, wasn't the weather getting worse? Yes. And Zillers proceeded with the second lift anyway? Yes. No further questions, Your Honor.
Thank you. Is there any redirect for the witness?
No, Your Honor.
All right, the witness may be excused. Does the defense have any further witnesses called? All right. The defense is rested. Does the prosecution have any rebuttal of this? Redirect.
No, Your Honor.
Okay. Then, at this time, we will move to closing statements.
Your Honor, my name is Asher Armstrong, and I shall be making the closing remarks in this case. Tatum Zillius is living unsure of what will happen, not knowing if he'll be able to continue to run his construction site. This is all because of a false accusation. Mr. Zillius is being falsely accused of third-degree murder. Mr. Zillius had no way of knowing that lifting with those conditions of that crane, that the crane would have fallen, and that the crane would have fallen 2 bystanders, one of which had been trespassing. Artie Dent committed the trespass. As I have stated, one of the bystanders was trespassing. Mr. Zillius has testified that he was sold the land by the city on which he was working. Therefore, Artie Dent was trespassing. Any injury that related in this foolish act of trespassing shall not make Project Z or any of its affiliates liable. Mr. Zillius is being falsely charged with third-degree murder. The prosecution may claim that the lift was unsafe, but according to expert witness Mike Ostrander, the lift was safe. I can prove this 2 ways. First, Mr. Stratton testified to telling Grace, a government official, that the lift was safe. And second, I would like to refer to Kramer's return sheet exhibit number 9. It says, and I quote, Project Z shall have the final say over whether any lift shall occur, except that should Project Z request a dangerous or otherwise complex or challenging lift of either crane. As we have heard, Mr. Stratton has testified that he did not break any of the Kramer returns. Therefore, he must have thought the lift was safe, or else he would not have lifted it. The prosecution is falsely accusing Mr. Zillius of third-degree murder. All Mr. Zillius wanted to do was build a public housing unit for the less fortunate like he was doing.
But this plan was reached to a halt after the squatters, who were trespassing, started sabotaging the site. The squatters were too concerned with their well-being. They did not think about all the people that the trench project would have benefited. The squatters, most likely, could have lived in the housing complex once it was completed. But instead of this, they decided to let their ego get in the way, and therefore let one of their own die. Mr. Zilius has been prohibited from providing stable housing for the less fortunate. I ask for Mr. Zilius to be found not guilty of third-degree murder. The defense has proven that Mr. Zilius did not know that the crane would fall. Aiton was not trying to hurt him. His only intent was being able to provide sustainable housing. If the project had not been finished, Mr. Zilius might not have been able to continue the construction. As we have heard, the defense has proved that Mr. Zilius did not have any malice when he decided to proceed with the law, and therefore, under Pennsylvania state law, did not commit third-degree murder. If you still think that Mr. Zilius was trying to end anyone's life, you're trying to end Mr. Zilius' career.
Thank you. Counsel for the prosecution.
Your Honor, my name is
Nathan Getter, and I shall be making the closing remarks in this case. My co-counsel and I are asking the court to find Tatum Zilius guilty of third-degree murder. This case is very significant to the prosecution because we firmly believe that no murderer like Zilius should escape justice. The crane collapsed because of Zilius ignoring the consequences of the things he did for his own personal gain.
The first witness called
by the prosecution was Emerson Turner.
He told us how
Zilius completely disregarded the safety code by cutting all safety checks, and then, without their consent, he forced his workers to work a second and then even a third shift.
This resulted
with many workers being injured on site.
The safety of the site
plummeted, leaving Franklin's Trench a recipe for disaster.
Our second witness
was London Packard, a woman who called Franklin's Trench her home.
She told us how
she witnessed the horrible conditions on the day of the lift. She told us
how she found a letter
from the city in the trash telling Zilius not to proceed forward, and it was from the city.
She told us of his horrible
deed. As the rain fell down in torrents, as the wind caused the crane to stagger, Zilius took the green flag from Grace Hopper and waved it to Micah Stratton, signaling him it was safe to lift.
Why did Zilius do this?
Why did he make the fateful decision which cost the lives of two people? Because of his greed. Witnesses proved by means of Exhibit 4, the Memorandum of Understanding, that according to the contract that Zilius signed, he would have lost $10 million if he didn't finish the lift on that day.
Zilius craved
this money with an evil desire. He was willing to throw away the lives of two good people just to get it.
I'd like to look at
an important piece of evidence that has already been brought up.
Exhibit 7,
the weather report, shows that the crane was operated during hurricane-like weather. Weather that the crane could not withstand.
And how Zilius proceeded
anyways, even though he knew this.
The defense
said that Zilius did not know the crane would fall.
But Zilius
didn't know how the weather was horrible and how it wouldn't be safe to operate in that weather.
There were several
Pennsylvania cases similar to this one. In the case Commonwealth v. DeStefano, the Pennsylvania Criminal Code defined third-degree murder as killing with malice, and malice was described as wickedness of disposition, hardness of heart, cruelty, a mind regardless of social duty, and recklessness of consequences. It has already been shown that Zilius showed malice when he forced his workers to work a second and then even a third shift without their consent. Also cutting these safety checks to almost nothing, leaving the site completely unsafe. Your Honor, gentlemen and ladies of the court, first let me thank you for your time and attention this morning. Before you leave to begin your deliberations, please remember that the testimony of Turnkin Packard proves to you beyond reasonable doubt that Tatum Zilius is in fact guilty of third-degree murder. Thank you.
Thank you, counsel. Thank you, members of the jury, for your service. At this time, the court will stand in recess for the jury and judge to deliberate.
All rise. The court is now in recess.
Yes, recess.
Excuse me, everyone. I just want to announce there's a intermission while we tabulate the forms. And also, just remember, no communication between anyone during the break. And since I did not start off with prayer, how about I close us with prayer? Thank you guys so much. You did an excellent job. Deep breath. One round is over. Let's pray. Dear God, we thank you so much for this time that you've given us, Lord. And we pray, God, that this experience for all of these families, for the judge, for the jurors, would be a blessed experience, Lord, to see this hard work and diligence that it has paid off, and God, that the skills that the students are learning to be good listeners, be good researchers, to divide truth from error, and to be able to be persuasive in the way they articulate what they believe. I pray, God, that they would be able to transfer these skills into their life after school, and even their life now as a young person, Lord, to bring others to know you, God, and to spread the truth of your word. And we ask all these mercies in Jesus' name. Amen. Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for calling everyone back to order. The jury and judge have deliberated and come to a result. So I'm going to let the judge take it away. I just want to thank you again to the Challenge B director and the Goochland campus, Joanna and her campus, and Beverly Wells and her campus. And I'll let
Okay, I'll talk from here. So first off, again, you all did a fantastic job. I was impressed. I'm in court right now during COVID about once a month. Previously, once a week, two times a week, which is quite a bit. And the mechanics of being in court, presenting evidence, examining witnesses is not simple. It's not intuitive. It doesn't come natural for people. And I think you all did a very good job, and you looked very practiced. So thank you for that. I'm going to start. I'm going to read the tally points, and then we're going to announce the verdict. And I want you to understand, because in a criminal case, the standard that you have to prove is beyond a reasonable doubt. That's a pretty high standard, right? So the prosecution may ultimately, in a case, have performed well, may have slightly outperformed the other side, but still may not get a verdict, right? Because beyond a reasonable doubt is quite a bit more. The points, first off, they're very close, because both teams did so good, but the points might not reflect the verdict. For Sycamore, the defense, the total points tallied were 45.125, and that is a weighted tally between all the jurors and the judge. And for Goochland, the prosecution, the point tally was 44.75. So there's less than a half point difference between the two teams. So very good, as close to a stalemate, I think, as you can get without a perfect tie. If Mr. Zilius would please rise. Sir, you've been found not guilty as of these circumstances. You care terribly much about your workers, but you've not been found guilty of murder in 33. And so my comments are going to be fairly brief beyond that. I want you to all realize that when you're in court, particularly before a jury, you're telling a story. You're trying to weave a story. You're trying to put something together that will make sense and a narrative. So with Mr. Zilius in particular, you've got this fact. He's got his witness statement where he's already said he doesn't care that the man died, right? And then he's on the stand, and he wants to say, yeah, I care the man died, because he's on trial, and whether or not he genuinely cares, he wants to be able to say, yeah, I care, but he knows this fact, right? So ahead of time, I think the defense has to make a decision about what path it's going to take. Is he going to say, yeah, well, he doesn't care, that's fine, but not caring doesn't equate to being a murderer. You can, have, no real concern over whether the man died. You can be a bad guy but not a murderer. And I think that's the path y'all chose to take. And that's fine. The alternative is to say, yeah, I said that in my witness statement. That doesn't mean I didn't care. That was a witness statement that I gave very close to when this all happened, and I felt like I was being attacked and I was under scrutiny, and it doesn't really reflect, how I feel at my core. So there's two different ways you can approach that, and I think you make a choice and you stuck with it, and that's fine. Prosecution, I thought, did an excellent job. You have a really tough road to hoe here because, first off, the standard, but also you're dealing with, you got to show sort of reckless disregard for life, malice, and sort of defining, I think, for the jury what malice is and how he was being malicious and really didn't care, I think, is really important, and you can do that in a number of ways with the facts you got. You're always going to have a hard time. If you have a competent defense under the circumstances and the facts of the case, I think most of the time the verdict is going to go for the defense, and that's just the nature of criminal law, especially with facts like this. For both sides, I would say you really got to play to the jury. Both parties, at least in your openings, started by saying, Your Honor, or Honorable Judge. You really got to say, either Your Honor and members of the fine jury, or you just play the jury, because ultimately the verdict's going to come from the jury, and that's just part of crafting your story and presenting. The other thing is with the examination of the exhibits. Under normal circumstances, a documentary exhibit like the artistic rendering of Franklin's Trench, that's going to go back to the jury room with the jury, and that's not really happening here. So both in court and for purposes of this presentation, it would be helpful to presenting that to the jury, right? Explaining what it is. So someone said it's an artistic rendering, and I know you've got some stipulated facts here. The stipulated facts say that it does accurately depict Franklin's Trench in the way it looked, right? Just because it's stipulated doesn't mean it's not important for the jury to know that, right? So, telling the jury, your witness, so this artistic rendering, does it fairly and accurately represent the way this thing is going to look? And having him say that. And the other thing the defense, I think, could have done is to drill down a little harder on what Mr. Zilius was doing, that he was creating homes for the homeless, right? I left, I had previously read the problem, right? And I knew that that it was like low income home housing, but I left the presentation today feeling like he was building a high-rise apartment over a place where the homeless used to live. And so, drilling down that he's trying to do something good for people, he's not trying to displace them. They may have been displaced for a short period of time. I think that would help your case. And I think, first off, the prosecution did a great job of responding and showing poise when there were a lot of objections that were posed, particularly during the first witness. And that's a hard thing. And you did a very good job of responding to those. And the facts are what they are. You've got a case that's written by someone, so it's designed to be sort of balanced. And most of the time, the objection's going to be there. But the other thing you can do is, during an objection, if you have an opportunity to respond, that's not an opportunity just to speak to the judge. Every time you have a chance to talk in court, you're also talking to the jury. So if you get an objection, and it's that's been asked and answered, well, Judge, yes, he read from the documents, but I'm trying to get him to acknowledge the accuracy of the document and its importance, right? So I may at that point still sustain that objection, but the jury would have heard, that document's important. What he said was important, and what he read was important. So even if you're having the opportunity to respond to an objection that might be sustained, there still can be a little something won in that response. So take those opportunities if you can. In the end, you all did a great job, and I appreciate it. So thank you, and I think we should all give them a round of applause.
start another trial. So if you all need to take a break for anything, you all can go ahead and do that and just go back to your seats so that we'll start this listening Okay, so welcome for round 2, which will be in Sycamore again.